me fa, shanga me fa. Me fa, me fa. Shanga me fa. Me fa, me fa.
Ibaila me fa.
Shanga me fa.
Ibaila
me fa, me fa.
Ibaila me fa.
Shanga me fa.
Ibaila me fa.
Me fa, me fa.
Ibaila me fa.
Shanga me fa.
Ibaila me fa.
Me fa, me fa.
Ibaila me fa.
Shanga me fa.
Ibaila me fa.
Shanga me fa.
Ibaila me fa.
Me fa, me fa.
Ibaila me fa.
Shanga me fa.
Ibaila me fa.
Shanga me fa.
Ibaila me fa.
Me fa, me fa.
Ibaila me fa.
Shanga me fa.
Ibaila me fa.
Me fa, me fa.
Ibaila me fa.
Shanga me fa.
Ibaila me fa.
Me fa, me fa.
Ibaila me fa.
Shanga me fa.
Ibaila me fa. Ibaila me fa.
Shanga me fa.
Ibaila me fa.
Me fa, me fa.
Ibaila me fa.
Shanga me fa.
Ibaila me fa.
Me fa, me fa.
Ibaila me
Eh,
fa.
shanga me fa.
Ibaila me fa. Ibaila me fa. Ibaila me fa. Ibaila
Yes, indeed, of course, a pleasant good night to all and sundry, East, West, North, South, Central, our friends in Tobago, and wherever you are, streaming on the World Wide Web, a pleasant good day to you. I thought I should give you some African tradition music to start, of course, the beginning of the week, because as you know, of course, the week begins on a Sunday. 7 days in the week, of course, the first day of the week is Sunday. And of course, we are back to the work day, so to speak, the beginning thereof on, well, tomorrow. That's make it what, the 4th of the year of the month of August in the year 2025. Yes, indeed, and we move inexorably towards the reading of the budget statement, something that many of us are looking forward to with tremendous expectations, yes. But I want, of course, to caution that you must damper your expectations, because I'm sure that the iniquities and the mismanagement and the misappropriation of resources here mean, of course, projects, programs, money, as well as policies will also be featured in that budget statement, no doubt. So let us not fool ourselves. And that will obviously determine the constraints with which the present administration, in spite of its efforts, and we have already described, and with a high degree of what I consider to be expansiveness, the whole concept of economics. And of course, we see budget as a projection of an economic exercise. Just in case you weren't there and we were describing or defining economics, well, economics is a social subject from the point of view that it focuses on human behavior, attitudes, and conduct. And therefore, from that perspective, it is considered to be a social subject. And what really it is how people end up choosing with limited resources, limited amount of money, but with endless goods, services that will manifest itself, of course, in food, shelter, clothing issues. How people end up choosing with limited resources from, of course, endless variety of goods and services. That is essentially what it is. And what the budget is, and I'm sure many of you might have known that the budget, of course, is a projection, but I thought I should give it a little more body, a little more perspective, a little more fundamental, so that you can identify with it. So therefore, if you know what economics is, then you know, well, of course, a budget is merely a projection there, because it will determine in a futuristic way what the government's priority is, because it has limited resources, limited money, but endless, of course, desires of the population. They themselves would love to give the 10% one time, but it may not be possible because of the limited resources. And in order, of course, to get the resource to reach as far as possible, you will have to create new wealth, new money, augment your money, whether it be by increasing oil production, whether it be relying on the non-oil sector to, of course, increase their output, and most importantly in this case, because it is about foreign exchange, how do we get the private sector and the public sector, dominated as it is by its function in the oil, gas, and petrochemical sector, where, of course, we of necessity have to emphasize, and which, of course, because of its value, the government have, of course, taken charge of that aspect of the commanding heights of the economy. Of course, coming from that, they will get taxes. I talk about corporation taxes, as well as, of course, other taxes that is associated with, but apart from that, owning the factory or the equipment, like in the case, of course, of heritage, for example, and still own the resources, meaning that the oil in the ground that has to be extracted in order, of course, to monetize, and then, of course, to bring the benefits to the country, so that the monies gained, foreign exchange in particular, can now be spread among the population for a decent standard of living and quality of life. That is what the objective of a government is, to ameliorate and to improve quality of life. It cannot be like in the case of a Rowley and, of course, the PNM, when, of course, they would describe as Neanderthals, meaning cavemen, want you to go back in time, go back in caves. And in fact, we have heard, of course, several ministers and officials of the PNM under Rowley and the next fella called Young talk about bicycle, talk about coal pot. Don't forget that. And of course, Rowley himself telling us that we must not, of course, focus on any laptops or be part and parcel of the developments, not developing, but the developments. Developing will be part of that. Developing world will be part of that process, but certainly the development of course, IT technology, and now we have AI, artificial intelligence, etc., etc. But yet still, Rowley was telling us, and did tell us, that he's going to stop the laptop program. After recognizing the folly and the stupidity and the obtuseness of that policy, he then, of course, says he's going to reintroduce it, but introduce it with a proviso. And the conditionality was, what it was? Yes, you're right. A means test. Totally out of it in the context of Trinidad and Tobago. But thank God, The 28th of April came. It is now behind us. And every single school child that enters the secondary system from September, I understand that is pushed back by a week. Whether it's a week or not, the fact of the matter is that they would be receiving their laptops with no conditionalities attached. None whatsoever. You see, I am of the view that Rowley and they, because of their elitist agenda, believing that they should be at the upper echelons of the society in terms of food, shelter, clothing, and the best they must, of course, acquire with the resources that we help, the rest of us help, put into the coffers of Trinidad and Tobago. They believe that somehow they have some devilish, some satanic, some Luciferian predilection to covet, to take, to utilize without any repercussions for them. Well, they have learned the hard way. They have learned, of course, the very incisive way that don't play the fool with democracy. And don't play the fool with people who understand what democracy is. And therefore, we are going to teach, we are going to project, and we are going to insist that the democracy be and continues to be the bedrock of our relationship with each other, because Rowley and they too blasted ugly to, of course, be born king and queen and so on, and believe that somehow they can, of course, initiate some kind of dictatorial management of the country, and then, of course, they remain at the upper echelons, as I said earlier, and then, of course, the rest of us grovel for what is thrown off the table, as he did in fact say, whether directly or indirectly, that of course he believes, of course, in millionaires, and with millionaires that they would have created, as we discussed last night with respect to the Warners. That is a classic example. The scrums that fall off the table happen to fall off the table, the rest of us will have to scramble for. That is a misrepresentation of the reality of what our Constitution has prescribed and intends for Trinidad and Tobago. Government by the people, of the people, for the people. Well, a pleasant good night to all and sundry, East, West, North, South, Central, our friends in Tobago, and wherever you are, streaming on the World Wide Web, a pleasant good day to you. This is, yes, the corridor transformation, of course, this Sunday night. Let me say to you that, of course, you, in order to get us right now, you can go on YouTube and log on to, of course, Corridor Transformation. Don't forget that on Facebook, we are on Facebook as well, but yes, but you have to log on to Alfred John. Alfred John. Yes, indeed, of course, let's go back to Ella Andel a little bit. A person who I know personally, I'm sure that if we see each other in the road, we'll be hugging and so on. Because I remember when I was, of course, head of the village council in Leaseholds, in Passy Street, in Laventille, that she was, of course, the dance and music teacher for our production in the Best Village competition. I think the highest we ever came was third. I remember that very distinctly, with Charmaine Ramsey being the queen in that year, and we did wonderfully well then. And since then, we have remained good friends. So I'm sure that if we see each other, as I said, wherever, we will hug and, of course, reminisce a bit. But that being as it may, let's go back to her.
Shango mefa, eh mefa mefa, shango mefa,
Psalm 27. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When the wicked came against me to eat up my flesh, my enemies and foes, they stumbled and fell. Though an army may rise against me. In this I will be confident. One thing I have desired of the Lord, that will I seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord, and to inquire in his temple. For in the time of trouble he shall hide me in his pavilion. In the secret place of his tabernacle he shall hide me. He shall set me high upon a rock. And now my head shall be lifted up above my enemies all around me. Therefore I will offer sacrifices of joy in his tabernacle. I will sing, yes, I will sing praises to the Lord. Hear, O Lord, when I cry with my voice. Have mercy also upon me, and answer.
Tobago Police Service and the Director of Public Prosecutions.
Whatever has happened, that is just coming to that. That a senior officer like that could have apparently run afoul of the law. But I know that in Trinidad and Tobago, we are a nation governed by laws. There's protection.
Regarding the arrest and detainment of Commissioner of Police Erla Herwood Christopher, Dr. Rowley emphasized that the ongoing investigation and its result is a matter for law enforcement, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, and the Director of Public Prosecutions.
Whatever has happened, that is just coming to that. That a senior officer like that could have apparently run afoul of the law. But I know that in Trinidad and Tobago, we are a nation governed by laws. There's protection for the innocent. A person is innocent until proven guilty, and due process is guaranteed.
Prime Minister Rowley denied some reports suggesting that the government was involved in the situation.
The government of Trinidad and Tobago does not identify any person to become the subject of police investigation, charge, or prosecution. That is a matter for the police, and there's no role in that process of prosecution for the government. So just let's get that very clear.
Well, of course, we are going to prove tonight that that is a fallacy, that is an unadulterated, and of course, factual lie. He said it, factual lie. And of course, we are going to do so with glaring clarity and without the fear of contradiction, because the Rowley administration and the PNM, they have been, of course, interfering with the criminal justice system from time immemorial. We saw on many occasions when it comes to the selection of a commissioner of police, we saw their intervention. Their intervention at the level of the parliament, disrespecting the Police Service Commission's top selection, as they went lower down, and to, of course, invite persons who would clearly do their biddings. Neglect or delay or strategically put on the back burner issues such as that of the fake oil involving Rowley. It's the question, of course, of the Camille Robinson wages, mysterious money that was supposed to leave a bank but suddenly got back into the bank, but at the same time it went to another bank. Yeah, that is the mystery of the century. Yes, indeed, of course, Rowley's intervention as far as the shortlisting is concerned for a commissioner of police. Yes, indeed, we would have had, of course, the Brett Thomas matter, where one court in this country says that they kidnapped the man as a citizen from Trinidad, quite in Barbados, and utilizing, of course, but the minister and Rowley are saying that they don't know how that plane got there, how the pilot was commandeered, how, of course, they were able to go and, of course, influence the Barbadian police or service to, of course, hand over a Trinidad citizen. And at the end of the day, it was about, of course, persecution and not prosecution. Rowley could say what the hell he wants with respect, of course, to some kind of what I consider be vapid, innocuous, and clearly only in his mind persecution. That is not a persecution, because somehow Interpol looking for he. Interpol looking for he. Is, my mother loves to say, it's the deeds that they are uncomfortable with. The deeds. And let us not waste time, because I understand that after the Antiguan Attorney General made a statement, and of course the Antiguan Prime Minister Gaston Brown made a statement ostensibly confirming that there was an incident in Antigua involving, of course, their customs people, and Interpol communique that was mysteriously entered the system of Antigua. They don't know where it has come from, but he was interviewed, or should I say, temporarily delayed. Not arrested, as he would like us to believe. Not detained, as he would like us to believe. But delayed. He's now using the term delay. You see, and it reminds me of how Dr. Oli twists his tongue. I don't know how he can get a stroke yet. The way he twists his tongue. Because remember, I think the greatest twist, just to remind you, when he told us, of course, that OAS, the company that was supposed to be constructing that highway to Point Fortin, remember that? And he told us, of course, in the beginning that it was bankrupt. When we learned that, in fact, it was, of course, in a state of what is called protection, seeking protection from the courts, bankruptcy protection, far different from bankruptcy. Bankruptcy means that you're going under and you can't do business again. But when you're seeking protection from the court, it means therefore you're having some cash flow problems in the main, and therefore, of course, what you want is the court, of course, to understand that, because you don't want to go out of business, but let those creditors and those persons who are coming to you like sharks. Because remember, let's face it, people are going to want their investments. You see that regularly when a bank is unable to pay out funds that it ought to be able to on demand by its customers because they would have put their monies there for safekeeping. And when that doesn't happen and that information spreads, well then of course people have what is called a run on the bank. A bank could never survive that because they, at any one time, they always have money outside because their job is to create money, augment the money that they have holding by virtue of loans and other instruments that they would invest in and services that they would provide. So it's difficult. But not so with OAS. OAS sought bankruptcy protection, both in Brazil and of course its home base, as well as in New York. Rowley knew that. It's impossible for him not to know that. But he sold it to us as those fake pieces of paper that he brought into the parliament and said that they were emails, and of course accused a prime minister, certain prime minister, of the treasonous act. He himself, of course, having committed a treasonous act by lying in that way about the then Prime Minister, Kamala Prasad Bisasa, and a conspiracy, an amorphous conspiracy concocted in the evil mind that we know Rowley has to kill a journalist, among other things. Most heinous. Are you telling me that he would not have a conscience issue? Must have a conscience issue, because all of that was deliberate. So too was, of course, the storm in a teacup, Rishmi affair. So too was the storm in a teacup, Section 34. He knew that those were non-issues because they were easily, there was no threat to Trinidad and Tobago. There was no loss to Trinidad and Tobago in those matters. Tell me what Trinidad and Tobago had to lose when, of course, the matter of Rishmi came up, and then, of course, all they did, they rescinded, of course, whatever decision that they had to make her head of the SSA, and then, of course, they put somebody else. Just as how. There was no loss with respect to Section 34. None of the potential beneficiary of that clause got any benefit from that because it was speedily dealt with by the then administration that, of course, nullified that particular measure. Yet still, Rowley and they acted as though, and for political gratification and for political currency, to fool the people in the process by saying the fact that it was even thought of should be or should result in a punishment for the then administration. And the people believed, I say the people believed because they end up questionably, of course, winning the election by a minuscule margin. Minuscule. You see, I've always said that we have to look at the margin of victory to understand that it was inevitable with all the lies that the PNM would have fallen. And they did. You can have 22 seats, 23 seats, and then 22 seats, and believe that somehow you could dominate. After the only how is because you were thieving the elections. That is what we know. But we will deal with that as well, because we need to always look back, because those who don't learn from their history are doomed to repeat it, particularly if it is as negative as that of Rowley and Lee. Let's go to the lines. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Good night to you, Uncle Lennox, and all your listeners.
Night to you, my
Excuse
friend.
me, and to all the listeners, please share the live, and please do like Rowley and put some money by Uncle Lennox now. Or let's send some money and let Uncle Lennox keep it an extra for you. Because you'll get a high return with Uncle Lennox invested. So Uncle Lennox,
Yes.
you see, I will not go down the road with that bald-head man, that thief and murderer, right? Kill people in COVID, right? He and the Alsing, and he bring vaccine. And they say, you can't say vaccine, you can't say injection, you can't say all kind of thing. You don't know what it is. But it was a biological, chemical, to kill people. How the senior citizen disoriented to get a pension. That bald-head stink dog on top of you. I saying it tonight. Because enough is enough. I'll remind him, right, that here was going on. When he came in office, after the foreign reserve, for $12 billion US, he said you only have to take a piece. And he covered up a statement. I say only had 3 fumes. Because why? It was a budgetary month when they came in. And the allocation was, just like how our Prime Minister ended up in this 2025 general election, have to go now and do a supplementary because they had a media review. But the only difference, he had a set of money there and he see the opportunity to start thieving. And when he started thief, right, he started to sell out the state asset to save the revenue. You're telling me for over 10 years, our energy sector depleted so stink? I want to ask my present energy minister, make me an energy inspector, and you'll see gas production will go up in this country, and oil production. And then that stick fella, when they tell him he had a friend, he down in South and eating goody by his house, he denied it. He said he don't know that man he talking about in South. And then after, when Mark Bassat bust the mark on him and say, that is his partner, right, with a farm out, lease and farm out. Then you hear he say, that is my friend. And he pervert the course of justice on the phone, and there everybody get to know. We reminding him, right?
Of course. Just as we reminded him last night about Warner, man. Then go ahead, my friend. You're going on the right track. Go ahead.
Right? And it cost the state close to $200 million because of the lawyer fee and all the fees to fight that case. And then after, pay out a court settlement, and then turn around and give his friend a 10 years and we patrimony again to go run away with it. Right? That is only one friend. Well, they are repo heights. You take away agriculture, dairy, where farmers like right now we could go and get a little cattle to mine and start to produce milk and raise their stock at a cheaper price from the state. They give a friend, and if you check to the back, I start back on the road and watch to the back of the hill. You can really see, you might be able to see the North Coast last waivers. Because, and I want to tell him, the $1 million US a month for Maduro, and then he pay a finance fee for a broker, a lobbyist, $100,000 US a month. $100,000 US a month to the United States for lobbying who? To do what? For OFAC license. Then he come, and how much trip he make to Royal Dutch and Pullman. Up to now, the state and the citizens, what we benefiting from it. All they hear was 100,000 when they hear Shell came back after robbing the workers in this country. And that's how we end up with the point 14 refinery in the years gone by. They pay them the severance pay. Right? Tell them, I say so. That ballhead thief. Then he come and he start to lobby for the OFAC license. They get 30 years. 30 years. Who have it? Is Shell, not Trinidad. Where the revenue going? And then he start to bully the Point Business Estate people. And he come on the public TV and say he negotiate the best price. Where he run off, and then you hear him. When he leave that one, they had the boat, the procurement of the boat. Where the money? Who it is? Eh? Then you come and you're talking about money, $235 million in a mudball Atlantic LNG trade one. Then you come and you sign a deal. Nobody, when they ask you what that deal is for, you say that we're going to ethanol, and 2 ships you will start to go into the business of ethanol. Eh? You sell, SPDM sell out his share at TCL, raise the price with the revenue. Eh? Then I want to ask, extreme housing development, all that money, right? What they break down them houses on them. And you know, it's the cream of the crop you're forgetting. Eh? You see the Balize house and the next one on the side of it? Rowley, where all they get money from it? And Penny, your answer, I hear your phone ringing. So you take your call.
Thank you very much. Very perceptive indeed. Caller, of course, call back. I was disconnecting on the handset because I would like to get you on the system itself because it is much more efficacious. And I listened to the contribution of one of the callers last night, who, of course, was being televised, or should I telegraphed, or was on the from the handset, and it was not as audible and as crisp as I would like. So, yes, so well done, caller. Well done, caller. You notice that we are unable to have call waiting. We don't have call waiting, 1 and 2. When one person is talking, you will not get on the system, as is the case now. So, thank you very much for understanding and calling back. Most people would get fed up and maybe not call again. But thanks very much. Go ahead, caller.
Yeah, good night, doctor.
Go ahead. Good night to you.
Yeah, I just called to congratulate you, you know, big you up, you know. Stay strong, my brother, you know.
Yeah. Yes, man.
Yeah, you're doing a lovely work, and we have your back.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You know, yeah, but right now I just a little lay back, you know what I mean? But you're wrong.
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, I want to tell all of those persons who, of course, has repose trust in what we said, what we would have done, that it is early days yet, and whilst, of course, you are only human, and that you are going to grow tired, and you're going to get weary, and so on and so forth. But rest assured that with persons like myself, who, of course, have some say, I rest assured the majority of you will certainly, and of course I love to use the term, if I had my way, empty the treasury in Laventille. That speaks volumes as to my focus and to my dedication to the downtrodden and those who could be considered to be the least of the apostles, as my mother would say, but of course at the lowest rung of the socio-economic ladder. Go ahead, my friend, if you have additional information to share with us.
Yes, my brother. I as a person, I don't give up. I don't like to give up.
Beautiful.
You know? Yeah, and in matter of times you have to give up, because according to Bob Marley, sometimes you have to who fight and run away, was to fight another day, which is it just happened too, you know.
Yeah, that's right. But the fact is, you ain't give up. They ain't give up. You went and take a sabbatical like me today. I slept through today. I slept through yesterday. Because of me, I'm fatigued. I'm only human. But at the end of the day, you know, you come back out tonight fresh and with the zeal and the determination to continue until, of course, the exhaustion overcomes you again, and then, of course, you take another rest and you go again. Go ahead, my friend. Yes.
Yeah. So so you stay strong, my brother.
I will, my friend. Thank you very much, of course, for those motivational words. Yes.
Yeah, man. God bless Trinidad and Tobago. God bless the world, you know.
Yes, man. Thank you very much. And of course, God bless your tenacity as well, because you called maybe about 3 or 4 times when Mr. Faizabad was on the I should say the handset. But as I said, I want to get everything crisp and clear, pellucid, and very articulate. We don't want to miss a syllable because your contribution is so vital. And don't forget, as I said, no green verb, black verb, yellow verb. Once we understand what you're saying, that is the important thing. So don't believe that somehow you are not fit verbally, because that's the communication verbally, to of course make your contribution to this program. I want to tell you at this point in time as well that we have the annual, or should I say around this time, our book a grant fair, if you want to call that. That just is not a fair in the sense that we will be donating, of course, to persons who may not be able to provide for their children, and therefore, of course, our book collection drive, whether it is financial or whether the books itself, if you call, we have another number that I have to give to you. Sorry about that. I don't think it's on the screen. Is it? No, 337-6940. So it is not on the screen. But there's another number that I would want to share with you. Maybe I'll put it on whilst we are talking or whilst we are engaging, because of course that person, very, very committed, just as I am, to of course the young people in particular, and around this time, on Christmas time. This is seasonal, but of course the consistency, I think, is very important. And of course, last time around we assisted about, I think, 30 or 40 families or children to get back to school in the way that at least minimally that they would have liked. Whether they had uniforms, for example, we assisted with uniforms, and that would include, of course, footwear. I think that might be the most expensive singular item, the footwear that they would use to go to school. And schools are particular. It has to be black, or it has to be brown, or it has to be white, as the case may be, and therefore all of those particularity will, of course, generate or add to the cost of a particular footwear, whether it's sneakers or whether some other footwear that the school demands as part of its uniform. But let's go to the lines. Professor, good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Good night, Professor Lennox.
Good night to you, my friend.
Diego Martin inside.
Yes, man.
And I want to clap back at the police, TTPS, welfare division.
Yeah.
The one that Dickinson is head of now. And I am looking at that organization, and something has to be wrong with the mental capacity, the competence, and the intelligence of the leadership of this organization. Now, I want people to reflect back to the day of policing. The day of policing resulted in all sorts of pressure on the traveling public. And I want to ask them now to tell me if there was a roadblock at the top of the Beetham Highway, what would have happened to the people in their cars? I say no more. What I'm getting at, I'm seeing they apparently clapping back at the statement the defense minister made during the home invasion consultation. And that second division apparently was aggrieved that the minister, or by extension the government, did not consult with them. And I find that strange. And why am I questioning their brain? What should I say? The brain, the intelligence. They have not listened to the newly minted Commissioner of Police. This is what he said. He said during his first press briefing that the government is there to make policy, and the TTPS will implement those policies. So if you have some subordinates, they don't understand that. So why do they want to have consultation with the powers of be, with the government, to dictate what should be put into that home invasion legislation? All they have to do, they don't have to put on the khaki clothes. they could have turned up in and insert themselves in the national consultation. Everybody will know who they are and put across the view why they want a special treatment for. No, this is what I really want to get at. The day of policing, none of those miscreants in the TGPS was disciplined. You know, you understand? Most of them in the leadership of the police service now. Go back to the city they are policing, Erla, etc., Ramisa, Seals, all of them were mum in the Joint Select Committee. They were covering up for wrongdoers in the police service. Now some of them in the hierarchy of the police service, and some of them want to go back as president of the second division thing. So I find that strange. The thing I want to say, one of the arguments they put forward in the press release, I want people to read this, is that it appears that the government not considering the safety of their officers. Listen to my argument carefully.
Go ahead.
The last 10 years, how many homicides occurred in Trinidad and Tobago? 6,000 plus. The TTPS is responsible, and by extension the government, for safety and security of the citizenry of Trinidad and Tobago, right?
Yes.
So they weren't concerned about that. 6,000 is 6,000 collateral damage. How many police officers was killed during that time? Weren't the police concerned about their officers who got shot? They were not intelligent to beef up the policing protocols and things like that to save the lives of their own officers? Listen to this. When police go and knock at your door, and they ball police, and they have on all kind of police clothes, two things come into your mind, right? Real police or fake police, right?
Yeah.
If you're not sure, and they're showing you the warrant, what do you expect me to do? Because they call in the police station and say, look, only have anybody up there? They will say they go call back, and they never call back. You have a chance to save your own life because the police are coming to save your life. Now, one of the critical issues that police are allowed to get away with, and the second division have not been able to tell us why they don't wear body cameras. If they wear the body cameras, you know how much of these police killing will go away? Because then you could address all police killing. You will have most of the evidence right in front of you. So why they don't want to wear it? Why the second division don't insist that they wear it? Is there something they want to hide? Because if you send police, and you don't want to show people warrant and you want to treat them like things. If you're out there and genuine police surround the building and wait for daylight, you don't have to barge in and shoot up. How the person go escape? They go escape with a drone? So these dotish arguments, I don't buy it as a citizen. If the police come in, let them have protocol that I, as a citizen, will feel comfortable. They come in, police, and they knock on my door. Send me the warrant, let me see. Send me your ID badge. Give me a full facial view of you. Let me videotape you. Because you know when you do a camera video, then there's one to slap up your phone. Let them get this, and people will trust them. Because the fact that you want to slap off my phone is because you fear that you're doing something wrong and I will catch you. I go on. Have a nice night.
Yes, man. Yes, man. I think that is an argument, or should I say the several elements in that argument that was presented clearly requires a further, what I consider to be extrapolation and more ideation. We must be very thoughtful, in other words. We must mull on it. And of course, you know, there is a tendency, for example, if you insisted that they wear body cameras, there is a tendency for whether it is planned or whether it is unplanned, but it appears that there is a sort of what I consider to be telepathy, for want of a better term. Everybody thinking the same way. Telepathy. To hold the country to ransom. So if it is, for example,
Well
that
said. Well said.
because if they insisted that the cameras must be worn as a rule, many of them would say, "Look, I'm not going on duty. I'm not going to. I'm not going to," or would of course orchestrate some kind of mechanism whereby they are not held accountable, but yet still deepen the crime situation in the country, because they simply will not respond, because their beef is that they must have camera to macro all of what they are doing, and people have a difficulty with that because they want to show that they are large and in charge, and of course can abuse. So I think that's the only argument that anybody wanting to be offended by the insistence of wearing body camera, that's the only reason. And we know them. We know them. All right, my friend, thanks.
My last piece of evidence, give them good protective gear, give them good armor, up-to-date body vests and things like that. So if somebody go shot on them, they go save, they go mitigate the effect of it. So that is all they had to do. I go on.
Yes, man. Thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much. So people, of course, this is early days yet. We have to decide what we are doing. Of course, there is the argument that stand your ground legislation will certainly create the proliferation. And in everything, like everything, you have unscrupulous people who, of course, will use. I saw, for example, recently, but he has been charged for the murder. But of course, you had a situation where a husband and wife scenario, and the person said that listen, they came into the house, and some intruder, and then of course the investigation clearly showed something different, and that person was of course charged. So you have people like that who will play smart with foolishness, but at the end of the day, the evidence will reveal with a meticulous, of course, investigation. Let's go straight to the line. President, good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Lennox, good night.
Good night.
Hear me good?
Loud and clear.
Right. This criminologist, doing him figure,
Yeah.
make a statement on television last night. Right?
Yeah.
That is, the gun law only create a lot more useless killings.
It create what?
They're going to create more useless killings.
Yeah, more useless. Right, good. Okay, go ahead.
You have to be asked, Lennox.
Yeah.
So I want to know all these organizations and rape and where people getting killed and outside on the road, and what kind of killings you call that? That is well-deserved killings or what? That is well-deserved killings, Lennox. You hear me, Lennox?
Yeah, you're loud and clear. I'll try to gather my thoughts around the argument that you are presenting. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, if you call that useless killings, what take place, right?
Yeah.
So, something wrong with you, Lennox?
Yeah. Well, why she was saying that, and as I said, I was wrapping my thoughts around it. I know that in the criminal justice system, for example, it is said that it's better 100 or even 1,000 guilty persons go free than to, of course, sentence a person that is innocent. Yeah, and that thought came to my mind because while, of course, there will be people who are unscrupulous, there are those who would have legitimate And if they are in the majority, then certainly that is, of course, a reason for implementing a measure to protect them. The PNM, however, they act in a manner to, of course, in an attempt, of course, to catch a few. They create conditions so that even the majority is in jeopardy. What do I mean? Let me give you an example.
Go ahead.
They would implement a measure. Take for instance when they were implementing the benefits for the SOE.
Yeah.
Because they know that a few people will try to undermine the system and get an unfair share, right? Maybe go twice to get the $1,000 or the $1,500. They put in place a criteria, a booklet of about 5 pages that you must fill out to get $1,500 after they put the whole population and a major part of it where clearly they are in need and would be in need of that $1,500. Those who working in restaurants, those who are working in casinos, those who have their own food business, those who have selling doubles and bacon shack and so on. And you put a criteria where these people, because they may not be literate, or they may become easily frustrated, or they don't want the neighbor to know that they can't read too well and so on. Yeah, that is what these people do. And watch me. And it gets worse because it appears that they did that to keep most of the money and not account for it. You understand what I'm saying? That is what they did in COVID. So we went to Labre. I think for some meeting, I think it might have been the elections, yes, the 2020 elections, we were in Labre. And every single councillor, PNM, non-PNM, said that look, they have hundreds of applications and none of the people amounted to thousands, and none of the people got any of that $1,000 or $1,500. It was just a farce. And when we checked all over the country, it was the same. So that is what the PNM does. They implement measures saying that it is to of course ameliorate and to increase and to improve, but they have done it in such a way that the opposite outcome is the case, and they are comfortable with that, and they come on the radio and so on, and then try to of course tell us that the money was spent because nobody is the wiser because they are in control of the information. But in the case of Rowley and in the case of Imbert, they reach about, I didn't think they reached a good billion, and they stopped because they couldn't account for the 22 billion that was supposed to have been spent associated with COVID. That is the kind of policies that these people, it's a sort of con men and con women in effect. But go ahead. I just thought I should bring up that in the course of the discussion. Yes.
So they're trying to shift the focus from what really is, right?
Yeah.
The money and bring these bloody idiots to
Yeah.
come and talk stupidness on television.
Yeah, because they have always some sinister motive. The last caller, for example, before you, talked about, of course, the second division officers who implemented the day of policing, and we saw it that nobody was except, of course, Sealy was charged for sedition, but he got away. But then we knew what the real objective was. The objective was to, of course, give the PNM an unfair advantage in the ensuing elections. That is what transpired there. And we know that for a fact because Sealy ended up being the PNM candidate for Tabakit. Not so?
Yes.
That's right. So we know what the agenda was. But they can't fool anybody again because you have to be a fool to do the same thing or to be subjected to the same thing over and over and you don't know what to do. So our job is to stay right here and to tell the population that is the agenda of the PNM, and you will hear some more of it tonight as we move forward because they are stuck in that paradigm paralysis. I believe that somehow, because it has worked in the past, it will continue to work. No, Kamala Prasad Bisesa is different. Notice that she ruled them out one time, whether in URP, CPEP, as the case may be. She in business. But let's just, let me just ask this caller to hold on. Hold on, caller. We have Mr. Tangariwa. He ain't finished yet. But hold on. Okay. Tangariwa, go ahead.
Yeah. On the right arm and on the ground too.
Yes.
Nobody want to hear that whatever.
Exactly. Nobody in the right mind want to hear them. And they're going ahead as if nothing went wrong. But of course, listen tonight and you'll hear the things that Penlu Beckles and all of them stomached. And now they have the audacity to come in face because you have a little chip, a little kink in the armor, and they want to use that as if it is a major issue. The question of the workers in CPEP and European. So the workers and them have been secured, but they really are rooted for the contractors who are political appointees, and they must be exposed, and they must be jettisoned, and they must be ridiculed. Go ahead, my friend.
I agree with that.
Yes.
All that racket, boy,
of course.
With them contractors, boy.
Yeah, that's what that's all about. And poor fellas, all of them from Laventille. The one that went first and failed because he didn't pay ENIS and so on. You have this other one now who subject himself from Laventille again to be the sacrificial lamb in circumstances where there was no approval. But of course, we note what Imbert came to do. Imbert came to neutralize that and to say that there was some arrangement with the cabinet that the CPEP company could put on any amount of contractors and employ any amount of people, and the cabinet will simply ratify that. Yeah, you're right, Imbert. We are fools. The court, you go into court to say that, you figure that the judges and them are damn fools. Well, go ahead.
Well, I would be ashamed to go in the court with that argument.
But they will go because he did it. I was shocked because I say that Imbert will not subscribe to these neophytes and these nincompoops that have unfortunately won their seats and representing a party that is all but dead. I'm shocked that he associate himself with that, but suppose he has a lot of what I consider to be clothes that need sunshine in. That needs sunshine. Yeah, he have plenty. Yeah. He have plenty of that. Yeah. So he has to go. He has to go and see if he could salvage. Yeah.
So some of them here saying you might have to explain that to them.
Yeah. The person are surprised. As who surprised me is Cabin Robinson wages, like she want no part of them, in spite of she having, of course, dirty linens as well.
Yeah, she don't be with them, boy.
Yeah. She has some issues that she has to address as well from a criminal and I'm sure at the end of the day civil perspective. Yeah. All right, yeah. Well, let me get on to the other party. Yeah, okay then. Yes, indeed. Pleasant good night. Sorry about that, but we know we have to give people their time. Go ahead.
No, it's me. I just want to coming back to Diego Martin to say.
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right. How and where is Camille? I find Balmati very silent.
Yeah. She probably didn't have as much cocoa in the sun as Imsbert, who commit himself, not only commit himself
That's
in
where
terms
going.
of attempting by his presence to neutralize the argument that the cabinet, there's no cabinet note or cabinet approval for the CPEP, trying to get salvage to salvage something that is unsalvageable. But more importantly, I think I think he is there because he has his own axe to grind, so to speak. But Camille Robinson Regis probably found that her axe is not as big as his, so therefore there's no need for her to, of course, join that bunch of nincompoops.
And she being the AG and Small Pin being the Prime Minister. That was the cabinet, two of them.
Yeah, of course, yes.
All right, but you ever hear the fable, Three Blind Mice? All right, the Three Blind Mice
Yes.
is the current PNM, the PL, the political leaders, watch them. But I want to focus on one of them, the blindness most, how should I say, boy? She impersonates KCR with many, many lies. The first one is when they allow all the workers of metal to go home, right?
Yes.
They never even think about that. But the other one is stillborn, You know what? You see, she could solve that 12,000 CPEP workers debacle right away, In the first 2 months of being the Minister of Labor, when everybody was going home and PNM say nothing, you know what she said? 35,000 jobs available in Canada, for truck drivers, So she tells
I remember that very distinctly. We interviewed her, and when we asked her where the jobs are, ultimately she hung up on us.
Right. So all those people who really want to work, she could find jobs for them, and supplement the farmers going to there. Remember, we just send a lot of farmers up there to work in the farm to pick apples and things like that. She could get Caribbean Airlines to get a set of those drivers, potential truck drivers, and send them up to get foreign exchange for us. So she could help the country move forward.
Yes, man. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. But let's go quickly because time is fast, of course, being spent. I didn't realize it was already, of course, about 23 minutes past 8 o'clock. 9 o'clock? Yeah. Let me see. Let me make sure. Let me take out my glasses. Yes, boy. Yeah, 23 minutes past 9 already. Boy, like we have to go back to 10 o'clock. No. I ain't going there at all. But anyhow, people, for those of you who just joined us, well, of course, we have this clip on, this video, to show the level of hypocrisy. But before we go there, quickly, let me just, because I had to hark back on what Mr. Faizabad said and what I said last night in terms of this elitist agenda and only friends, and they want to, of course, empty the treasury in the hands of a few, while the rest of us, of course, grovel. And, of course, last night I talked about, of course, Warner, Rowley's friend, so I don't need to go back on that. And then, of course, we talked tonight about, of course, another Rowley's friend, meaning that AV drilling, and you know what transpired there, and of course the amount of money, as Mr. Faizabad rightly, of course, indicated. And even when the tribunal came, talking about the arbitration, he also benefited from that and still got back the contract that in the first place caused the fake oil incident to come to the fore. Well, I want to tell you one time that if it was Penelu Beckles and Rowley and Short Young and even the fella, what is him, David, whatever his name is in Tobago, I'm telling you, if that had occurred when the UNC was in government, they would be talking even into the future. into the future. Notice they remain silent. And these people have the belly, the audacity and the temerity to be talking in our faces. I am telling you that if that situation with respect to AV drilling and the fact that after the revelation of the fake oil, and even after that, they had a arbitration scenario that caused them to get money and to get back the contract. What Rowley and they would have been saying if that was the UNC that occurred under. I know that when a fella touch the identification pin of an air hostess, I know he get fired for that, even though he was a very popular minister. I know a fella put on a siren on a police car, and he got fired for that. I know that an attorney general got fired for a piece of indiscretion. And of course, a national security minister as well, temporary as it was, are talking about, of course, a former commissioner of police. Yeah, got fired for that. You may see it as trivial, but these major things that depleted our treasury and plunged our people into a state of abject need. And if they would have stayed there, they would have continued with their nonsense in terms of course, property tax and, of course, increase in electricity, and we can go on top of what they increased whilst they were there, and saying it's not them, but they are in government. Not them responsible for the crime and criminality, but they're in government. Well, they are where they're supposed to be, and I am saying too many of them, only 13, but there's too many of them are in opposition. I say that when the local government comes, we must take that from them as well. They are undeserving. Undeserving. So you see where I'm going already. Undeserving. But I want to add to that elitist agenda and the raiding, not pilfering, the raiding, the pillage of our treasury by Rowley and they. I ain't come to the video that you've seen yet. But there's another one, and of course I think it's Mr. Faizabad that mentioned in a very, what I consider to be initial way. The whole question of the Naikwan and Rowley's lobbyists, Gill, who they gave over $100 million US from our Republic Bank because it is connected to the government, having taken it, of course, from the Clico CL financial arrangement. And the entire thing blew up, literally blew up, and it blew up twice. And today, it is no more. And owing here, there, and everywhere, and was given, of course, arrangements, special gas arrangements. All of that was given. Rowley went and opened, cut the ribbon, and say it is a unique project, unprecedented. Diesel to environmentally friendly fuel. And then it turned out to be a total disaster, and Trinidad and Tobago has to pay the price and become poorer for it. And only telling me that these 12 plus 1 have any credibility to talk to us? People listening to them? That putrid, that vomit? They sat there and superintend and remain silent. They even talk in private. They even talk when they get the opportunity on the campaign trail, because they thought they would have won. And I'll tell you why they thought they would have won as well, you know. That is the subject of another issue or another program. But there are some elements that you must look at to understand that, because remember, they always believe that they must have an unfair advantage. But what they didn't know is that the people made up their minds and that it was too big to steal. But nonetheless, they tried to steal still. You think Rowley was catering for international observers when he realized that he had no choice? When Trump was in the tail, if Trump didn't come into office, Rowley move in a place, you know. You know what I say if Trump didn't come into office, Rowley move in a place. But we always talk about, of course, the Lord moves in mysterious ways, his wonders to perform. And we always said that evil could never prevail over good. I said that over and over and over and over and over. And when you pray and you supplicate, yes, he answers prayer. And he did answer. He did answer, people. He did answer. And so, Naikwan blew up twice. And the only reason they got that money is because the fella in charge, Gil, was Rowley friend. So, every major consumption, unmeritoriously, put another way, because I don't want to sound as though I am compromising in terms of terminology. But in every single one of these barbaric, evil, wicked, egregious, and avarice projects, Rowley friend, Warner, AV Drilling, Naikwan. Understand that. I don't even want to go to check in terms of the amount of losses to Trinidad and Tobago. We talk about billions, and that is just part of it, you know. Because when we talk about, of course, that mothball train 1, and telling us that somehow that train 1, that they spend over 200 million, and because somebody says 400 million, they are concerned with the 400 million, and it's really 200 million, and they're making an argument about that when not one blasted cent or two have been spent on it, because they knew that the upstreamers, whether it's BP and others, say that they are not going to invest in that train 1, and somehow Rowley and they said that, and it only as a result of fairness and negotiation, which any government should and could do. They say that because at that spending of that wasted 200 million, they got, of course, a share in train 2 and 3, I believe it is, because they had something in train 4. Come on! Insulting our intelligence, but I'm sure over time we will get to the bottom of this, because we have a very serious Minister of Energy. I'm talking about Dr. Munilal, who will, of course, inform us in due course. So I thought I should bring that to the fore. But for those of you who weren't here at the beginning, let's go back in this video, and I'll give the explanation thereafter as to what this is all about. Yes, indeed. Because this man is a consummate liar, deceiver, has always been, and the rest of them are the same.
Detainment of Commissioner of Police regarding the arrest and detainment of Commissioner of Police Earl Herwood Christopher. Dr. Rowley emphasized that the ongoing investigation and its result is a matter for law enforcement, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, and the Director of Public Prosecutions.
Whatever has happened, that is just coming to that a senior officer like that could have run, apparently, run afoul of the law. But I know that in Trinidad and Tobago, we are a nation governed by laws. There's protection for the innocent. A person is innocent until proven guilty, and due process is guaranteed.
Prime Minister Rowley denied some reports suggesting that the government was involved in the situation.
The government of Trinidad and Tobago does not identify any person to become the subject of police investigation, charge, or prosecution. That is a matter for the police, and there's no role in that process of prosecution for the government. So just let's get that very clear.
And of course, you see the faces around him like they are in disbelief. It as if it is just blasé, as if he is speaking, but nobody is listening. They are in their own vacuous and vacuum scenario. I mean, it's like the comedy Get Smart, where they go under the air dome, a secret dome, but everybody else here except them. Well, that's how they're looking. Total zombies. But I want to say that blatant lie. Blatant lie. Because we saw where he interfered. And the government influenced the persecution of people. That's what he did. And of course, consistent with that's put it in context as well. He said the same thing about Balize House, that no government employed contractor worked on Balize House, and we could prove that Jusamco, the company that of course constructed that piece of the highway to Point 14 that fell into the swamp below, pour concrete not on the superstructure but on the infrastructure, on the basement of Balize House. Can't get away from that. Blatant and absolute lies. And Penlu Beckles and all of them sat there and absorbed that, and they want us to believe that somehow they have sanitized themselves by continuing, of course, that process of trying to hoodwink us to believe that they care about, of course, the workers, when in fact it's the backs that they're riding on, using it as an addendum to, of course, the fundamental, which is, of course, their party hacks and their party associates are talking about. Of course, that's the only how they could get them contracts, are talking about the contractors in CPEP and, of course, the URP and, of course, the forest rehabilitation program. Let us not waste time. But let us prove tonight one time as we make our departure. Don't forget, of course, tomorrow morning, the ground report. But listen to Rowley. Listen to Rowley. Listen to Rowley again. To
Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, especially when the post is held by me, but in the Constitution it is also, the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago has no involvement and no role in the prosecution of any person in this country.
Matter commonly referred to as the legal kickback fees matter. That is a matter in which Anand Ram Logan and Gerald Ramdeen were both charged by the Director of Public Prosecutions to answer matters of criminal nature in relation to statements revealed by a gentleman by the name of Vincent Nelson, now King's Counsel.
Have you spoken to the Prime Minister about this issue?
I have. Yes, I have. I have. Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
The Prime, you know who Nelson is? Nelson is a British Queen's Counsel. No ordinary person, a British Queen's Counsel who in the hands of his lawyers turns state witness to extricate facts and figures, date and time, telling Trinidad and Tobago, cooperating with us so the police could put in handcuff members of the cabinet of Kamala Prasad Bisesa.
Let's pause there. Does that suggest a man who is not influencing the outcome of an investigation, a criminal investigation? Is that a man who just earlier told us that he the cabinet. No, he is involved, of course, in any police directioning. Listen to the words. Listen to the words he used. Cooperating with us. Who is he talking about? And then goes into more details by talking about facts and figures. I know you don't believe what you're hearing. So let's go back. Let's go back.
The prime, you know who Nelson is? Nelson is a British Queen's Counsel. No ordinary person, a British Queen's Counsel who in the hands of his lawyers turns state witness to extricate facts and figures, date and time, telling Trinidad and Tobago, cooperating with us so the police could put in handcuff members of the cabinet of Kamala Prasad Bisesa.
Cooperating with us in the hands of his lawyers. Well, of course, you know by now that the lawyers here is the P&M lawyers, which they spent millions of our money on, but to fail because in opposition, the UNC just made mincemeat of their lawyers. And don't tell me you don't know about that, you know, because they are going to, of course, pretend now that they are lawyers. How come none of them, all of them saying there's lawyers now? How come Stuart Young? How come Gonzalez? He says a lawyer too. How come Camille Robinson Regis? How come Scotland? How come none of them was given the opportunity to, of course, save the country money by going and prosecute, going up to England and so on in the previous court? How come? But suddenly them, again, a bunch of charlatans who, of course, are giving themselves the accolade of significance. Of significance. Yes, indeed. So it is that kind of individuals we are talking about in terms of their inability to manage the affairs of the country. And here it is, all that money was given to them in and out of the cabinet, and therefore they were engaged in the larceny of our resources, the larceny of our resources. So when he says that the Vincent Nelson is cooperating with them to put Kamala Prasad Bisesa and her government officials in handcuffs, it is clear that he was involved in the influencing of the police service. So do not be fooled by these, what I consider mendacious, and of course they seem to be sick in terms of their ability to lie, and not convincingly, obviously, because they failed. The 28th of April would have indicated that. Let's continue with that to the end.
Nelson is a British Queen's Counsel. No ordinary person, a British Queen's Counsel who in the hands of his lawyers turned state witness, cooperating with us so the police could put in handcuff members of the cabinet of Kamala Prasad Bisesa, Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, especially when the post is held by me, but in the Constitution it is also, the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago has no involvement and no role in the prosecution of any person in this country. Extricate facts, turn state who in the hands of his Queen's Counsel, ordinary person, is a British Queen. Who Nelson is? Nelson is a 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 British Queen's Counsel. No ordinary person, a British Queen's Counsel who in the hands of his lawyers turn state witness.
Good night, Mr. Lennox. Good night, Mr. Lennox, and good night to everybody on the live. Mr. Lennox, listen now. You know, I watch you this and I laughing at this ugly looking big nose balling man. Listen, you should have a look at Saddam Hussein. And I was looking at a clip of Saddam Hussein and he called all them scams on them, all them lawyers on them, right? Even talk about some Gulf place in somewhere in South where they make all the deals and all kind of thing. You know, lawyers get millions upon millions of dollars for, I don't know, for what kind of opinion, you know. What kind of opinion you could give so for untold millions of dollars? The country money just given away just so. But this evil scam had to make a jail here and all them clungs on them.
And they have failed. And they have failed. But those who couldn't even make the grade, now saying that they could represent these. I just understand these people who don't have a case at all. What you expect? It failed from the beginning. I never see that. Yeah. They weren't even considered, not even penny. All of them say there's lawyers. There are plenty lawyers in the PNM. But they are charlatans.
But you know, I like
indolent. Yeah. Not even Hines. You're lucky they didn't call Hines' name too. You're lucky they didn't call Hines' name. He's supposed to be a lawyer too. A bunch of jokers.
You hear what I just say? Yeah. The Attorney General say he not paying none of them except for work that is value. Right? Value.
Right. That speaks volume.
Because
remember, the former Prime Minister for 20-something hours sent me a pre-action protocol letter, and up to now we can't respond to my response to his pre-action protocol letter. But them claiming to be lawyers. But I don't know what kind of jokers these people are.
Wait, listen Jonathan Begu elected a bunch of circus in the last 10 years gone there, you know.
I'm telling you, circus mongers. Circus mongers has to be Jack in the pack.
Boy,
Jack in the pack. Again. Yeah,
these
man.
People are them. The greatest anyway, God will send us.
Yes, man. Well, it's nice to know that we can make you laugh at this point in time. I'm sure that others are laughing as well. Of course, yes, it's joking. Let's just wind up because, of course, it's time to leave. Yes, indeed.
To extricate facts and figures, date and time, telling Trinidad and Tobago, cooperating with us so the police could put in handcuffs members of the cabinet of Kamala Prasad Bissessa. Nelson is a British Queen's Counsel. No ordinary person, a British Queen's Counsel who in the hands of his lawyers turned state witness, cooperating with us so the police could put in handcuffs members of the cabinet of Kamala Prasad Bissessa. Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, especially when the post is held by me, but in the constitution it is also, the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago has no involvement and no role in the prosecution of any person in this case.
Matter commonly referred to as the legal kickback fees matter. That is a matter in which Anand Ram Logan and Gerald Ramsey were both charged by the Director of Public Prosecutions to answer matters of criminal nature in relation to statements reviewed by Judgment of Vincent Mercy of Queen's Counsel.
Yes, people, of course, we have come to the end, the abrupt end. I know that you are all smiles to see how nincompoopish and asinine these people have been, and the insult that they are to our intelligence and our country. Yes, and don't forget, of course, tomorrow morning, the Ground Report, Andy, Mike, and myself, as we continue with these and other issues. Let's hear these nincompoops for a final time.
Telling Trinidad and Tobago, cooperating with us so the police could put in handcuffs members of the cabinet of Kamala Prasad Bissessa. Nelson is a British British Queen's Council. No ordinary person, a British Queen's Council, who in the hands of his lawyers turned state witness, cooperating with us, so the police could put it in handcuffs. Remember the chairman of Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, especially when his post is held by me, but in the Constitution it was also. The Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago has no involvement and no role in the prosecution of any person in this country.
Matter commonly referred to as the legal kickback fees matter. That is a matter in which
Psalm 27. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When the wicked came,
Yes, I have.